Show on the road. Welcome to MSUA Game Changers webcast, where we speak with satellite and mobile connectivity thought leaders about industry trends and share what you need to know about the future of mobile satellite communications. I am your host, Roger Lanto, and I'm excited to introduce Greg Pelton, Chief Technology Officer at Iridium. Iridium was the winner of 2 MSUA Mobile Satellite Innovation Awards in 2025, including the award for Industrial IoT Mobile Innovation for the Certus Mobile and Development Kit, and the award for Maritime Mobile Innovation for the Certus GMDSS Global Maritime Distress and Safety System. In addition to these 2 impressive initiatives, Iridium has been active in the emerging market for NTN services and applications, and of course is active across the entire spectrum of government applications and the world of enterprise. We discuss all of this with Greg. So let's dig in. First of all, Greg, tell me a little bit about your history and connection to the satellite industry.
Hi, Roger. Thanks for inviting me. So I've been in technology for a long time, but satellite only recently. I began my career at Nortel Networks, working on big, massive telephone switches when they were becoming software-defined systems rather than just hardware. And learned a lot at that time about how to build highly reliable systems, how to develop for scale. And then I had the opportunity, as the internet took off, I joined Cisco and helped build new applications on top of internet technology. And one of the first was taking all the things I'd done in the telephone network and putting it onto IP networks. And that proved to be very successful. And it's kind of the platform of choice right now. At Cisco, I also led the advanced technology group for a number of years and worked on all of the new capabilities that were being built on that internet platform, from Wi-Fi and IP video and storage area networks and things like that. But the last thing I did at Cisco was we actually had a satellite project. So we were working with some partners to build a space qualified router to go into satellites. And really the goal was to take the internet from the ground and put it in space as well. And that was a major transformation. Learned a lot about the satellite industry at that time. And one of the things I learned is that we were too early. You can't always control the timing of technology and market. And in this case, while we had great technology, the market, the satellite operators weren't really ready to adopt it yet. And I come back now 15 years later, and we are actually at the point where these kind of technologies are flying in space. And after Cisco, I had a couple of CTO roles. I worked for Avaya and Polycom, other communication companies, and then joined an AI startup. This is when large language models were first coming out, and we built products on top of large language models focused on enterprise applications. So it's really interesting, quite early. The market's much more mature right now. And then about 4.5 years ago, I joined Iridium, and I came back to the satellite industry and having a blast.
So tell me what's most unique about Iridium's award-winning industrial IoT technology.
Yeah, it really starts with our network. So we have a unique network. We're not like any other satellite operator in the world. We have a global constellation of low Earth orbit satellites, so they're much closer to the ground, which means that you've got a stronger signal and lower latency, so you can provide more services. And because we're global, it means our customers, especially our IoT customers, can deploy one device and go anywhere in the world and get coverage and ensure they've got service. So they don't have to plan about the region they go to, don't have to plan about the kinds of technology where it's licensed. We're licensed worldwide. And so that makes it very easy to deploy at scale and very cost effective. The spectrum our network has at L-band at 1600 megahertz is a great spectrum for IoT applications and telephony and safety of life. It's highly reliable. But it's also well suited for small, low-powered devices, which a lot of IoT devices are. It's well suited for if you need access in bad weather, or when you're in a strange location where there's things that are in the way, or if you're under tree cover. So anywhere you might be blocked normally in other bands, our spectrum is really good at handling those use cases. The entire network has been designed for high reliability and availability. We manage that very, very carefully. We've taken the lessons over more than 25 years to ensure that the availability of the network is almost perfect. And then our whole approach to the market is we partner with others. We have over 550 partners. They build solutions and devices and applications for any imaginable industry and any use case. It's really shocking to see the breadth of partners. When we have our annual partner conference, you see the range of things available, but there's IoT use cases and solutions that might cover everything from oil tankers to fishing buoys, from jumbo jets to drones, from power plants to wildlife like giraffes and sharks.
Well, I do remember the booth at Satellite 2025 and the myriad of devices that are required to address all of these different applications. It was a little bit overwhelming. By the way, just one additional beat on that. You mentioned a global license to 1600 megahertz, and obviously there are some interesting battles emerging over spectrum all over the world. How unique is it to have a global license for that particular band?
It's fairly unique. We had the advantage of starting early. We were the first low Earth orbit satellite network, and we were the first to sort of have this vision of a global constellation. And so back in the 1990s, there was a lot of effort Motorola put in, because Motorola built the network originally, to go to different countries and places around the world to build relationships and partnerships with the governments, to set up operations in order to support having the license and having access to that spectrum around the world. So all that planning from back in the 1990s is still paying off today. There might be one or two other satellite operators that could really say that they've got global spectrum. No one else has global coverage, though. We cover every square inch of the Earth, and that's really important to our mission and to our users.
And the other category where you had a win in our innovation awards was in the maritime safety, which is a pretty crowded market. There's a lot of players in there. How are you able to stand out there, and how have the demands in that market segment evolved over time?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's a couple factors that really contribute to our success. One is there's a certification process to be able to support GMDSS, and we're one of only 2 satellite operators that have that certification. The bar is really quite high in order to be able to be certified in terms of reliability and coverage. There's rigorous testing of that. There's rigorous testing of being able to handle a complete failure of your ground network and recover from that almost instantaneously and continue to offer service, because people's lives depend upon this. So, understandably, you want to have a lot of rigor around that. We demonstrate that every quarter as part of our certification process. The other factor is that we're very focused on our business plan and on this ecosystem of partners. So we don't try to provide everything to everybody. You're not going to buy broadband service on our network and browse the internet and watch movies on it. We're just not set up for that. We're really set up for mission critical applications, for things like safety of life. And when the customer depends on the network to be there, we're the network of choice. So that focus on the business model and the partners that allow us to implement that business model and do it everywhere in the world is really critical.
And here's the big one. How is Iridium preparing for the emerging opportunity in non-terrestrial network connectivity?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of preparation for that. And for any listeners who don't know, NTN, non-terrestrial networks, is the emerging additions to the cellular standards to support access from satellite as well. So basically taking the cellular network to space. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy right now. We've seen good progress in the standards to define more and more of how to make that possible. And there's a couple examples on the market today of people sort of getting the early testing of those kinds of services to see what the adoption is going to be. We see it as a huge opportunity for IoT. We're a really important satellite IoT provider today, and we see it bringing a lot more business onto our network. And one of the keys to that is it allows us to partner with mobile network operators. So we can have them roam in and out, and we can roam in and out of their network, and it provides a broader set of coverage and much better experience for the users of both of our networks.
And as you say, there have been some announcements of some partnerships, and a lot of it focused around direct-to-device, D2D. Is there an announcement somewhere lurking in the wings from Iridium in this area?
Yeah, we've announced what's coming. We have a new service called NTN Direct we're working on right now, and this whole direct-to-device thing and the NTN space, there's some barriers or some unknowns that still need to be discovered. So with all the companies that are talking about this, one of the biggest challenges is you can't provide the service unless you have satellites. and you can't provide the service unless you have access to spectrum that's well suited for that use case. So there's a lot of people looking for funding to be able to build satellites and launch them or be able to access spectrum. That's billions of dollars of investment. We have the good fortune of having satellites that are already in space. They're already there, a full network that's very reliable. We have spectrum everywhere. And we have the third bonus, our satellites are relatively unique in that they're all software defined. So, like a computer on your desk, we're building this end-to-end application and we're uploading it into our satellites and customizing them to be able to support these new standards and then to be able to offer the service. This has been underway since, I guess we announced in January 2024, we were going to do this. We put together a major program. We've done a lot of development with a large selection of partners. Some of them have already announced their partnership with us. And we're actually testing on air. We've uploaded new software to the satellites and we're doing testing right now. Our intent is to be in service next year. So to be able to just put new software up rather than spending billions of dollars for new satellites and define spectrum somehow is a huge competitive advantage. And I think it's going to serve us well. And our customers are really excited. You've seen some announcements from mobile network operators that are going to partner with us as well.
Oh, I have so many questions, but I'll try to keep it brief. So what are the greatest challenges facing end-to-end deployment and adoption? Like, what are the standards related and regulatory activities? And I'm going to ask you whether satellite operators and wireless carriers can get along. But what do you say?
Yeah, the challenge for most of these folks is the business case and the go-to-market model. So we already talked about the expense of building out a new constellation and finding the funding and then getting the return. How many dollars will a user pay per month in order to justify that investment you're making? And it's a big investment, requires a big return. If customers are willing to pay $5 or $10 a month and you'll get 30 to 50% penetration across an entire cellular base, yeah, there's lots of money to be made. If customers are willing to only pay when they use it because they happen to be out of coverage, then there's probably not enough market to support a lot of these investments that are being presumed right now. And maybe it's somewhere in the middle. And I think we're probably, it's 5 years from now, we'll probably have a really good understanding of what this market looks like, the willingness to pay, how usable it is, whether customers care or not. And user experience is a big piece of this too. What's not said in all these advertisements you see on TV is that the user experience will be different than a cellular user experience. You're not going to have as much bandwidth. It's not going to work as well. You're going to find that maybe you can send messages and you can make calls, but you're not going to be able to have the same rich internet experience necessarily if there's a number of users in the same geography. It's not going to work indoors. And so I think that the users are going to have to get experience with this and understand what's satellite and what's cellular and how to behave differently in those two different environments. And that's going to impact adoption potentially. Everyone will use it if they break their leg in the middle of backcountry. Not sure everyone will use it in their car when in that 5 minutes they're between cell sites on their drive to work. So we'll see. This will all come to being. But that's on the direct-to-device side. On the IoT side, there's tons of use cases. We know most of them already. We got tons of customers, and there's lots of interest. So I'm very, very comfortable with that. I am also comfortable that satellite operators and cellular operators can partner and play nicely together. There was a time when that wasn't the case, but we just seen tremendous interest. We're not competing. Cellular operators have their own territories. Satellite operators have their territory in space. There's really no competition. And there's already the ecosystem and the business models around roaming and partnering between cellular operators, which extend logically to satellite operators as well. So I think this is going to work out very well.
Can you do one more beat on the versions of 5G, 3GPP standards, and how that satellite connectivity evolves as a standards-based solution? Because obviously from 17 to 19, the capabilities evolve.
Absolutely. So, and for people that don't know, 3GPP is the standards organization, international standards organization that defines cellular standards. And they have about every 2 years or so, they issue a new release of the standards and specifications. Release 17, which came out 3 or 4 years ago, was the first one that really anticipated satellites supporting cellular devices. And we saw some chips come in the market and some early use cases and services that were built upon Release 17. There's some in the market right now. Release 18 expanded the capabilities. Release 19, which is completing this month, is really the first one that's thought about non-geostationary satellites, low Earth orbit satellites like ours, and is starting to build up more and more of the services and use cases focused on both IoT and on the broader consumer kind of applications. So this will keep evolving. We're actually moving after release 20 into 6G. It's already time for 6G, and 5G doesn't seem that broadly deployed yet. But 6G really will try and smash these two together. Like right now, satellite's kind of an adjunct to the 5G standards. It will become integral to the 6G standards. So we're just going to see more and more convergence over time.
And what, if anything, can you tell our viewers and listeners about Golden Dome and how that's impacting your business?
Yeah, the government customers are a big part of our business. You know, they're important. They always have been from the very start. And the nature of our network makes it really well suited for a lot of government use cases, civilian and military defense applications. We have, along with a large number of government users on our network today, we also have been working with the Space Development Agency, which is part of Space Force in the U.S. Department of Defense. They have a mission to build out a number of government satellite networks, and they're doing it in a much different model than the historical way of the government doing this. They're building them very fast, and there's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of partnership with industry on this. When the SDA decided to start building all these satellites, well, they needed a ground network to control and manage those. And they came to us and were really interested in how we were managing our network and how we operate our satellites, because we're very efficient. I mean, our operations center has a couple people that are bored most of the time because everything runs in an automated way. So we partnered with General Dynamics and got the contract with Space Development Agency to build out the ground network to support all these satellites that are going to be flying. And it's a big obligation. It's a big contract. It's an important part of our business, and that is continuing going forward. Golden Dome, which everyone's heard about in the last year or so, is another kind of defense application to provide a shield around the United States from external missiles and other things that could impact the country. A lot of satellites will be involved with that as well. And I think we're well positioned to be part of that. We're not going to build the satellites, but there's capabilities we have that are well suited. One of the important ones we were talking about a little bit earlier is, along with communication services on our network, we also have an alternative position, navigation, and timing service, PNT. And this is, you can think of this as a backup to GPS. There's a lot of concern now around spoofing and jamming of GPS, and we see it in the news all the time. You can't fly airplanes near the Ukraine without your GPS going out of control. And so there's a lot of concern around the world about how can I ensure I've got a reliable location and reliable timing. And when you are in that situation, our signal and the service we provide is 1,000 times more powerful than GPS. So it powers through most interference and jamming. It provides a reliable backup. GPS is still there, and it's important to use it, when it's available. But when it's not, there is a backup, and we're seeing just a tremendous interest in that. And I think this will be an important part of Golden Dome as well.
It's funny you should mention that particular conflict zone. I just returned from China 2 weeks ago, and there were several European attendees at the event that I was at that had taken China Airlines and had cut 2 hours off their flying time to China from Europe because they flew over Russia. So China Airlines can fly over Russia without any concerns, but probably not American, Delta, or United.
Probably not. That's a bold move.
Okay, where can people find out more about Iridium?
Well, we have a website, www.iridium.com. There you can see all the different use cases, applications, market verticals. You can see our partners. You can see the technology we build and supply, a little bit more about our network. And we love partners. We have more than 550. If you're interested in becoming an Iridium partner, you should find a place on the website to be able to sign up and register, and we'll get in touch with you.
By the way, this is just kind of a personal question, but have you seen House of Dynamite yet, the movie?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay, so just a quick question before I take this out. Any quibbles with how they represent the satellite contribution to that story? Anything stick out as sort of odd?
Nothing dramatic, but keep in mind that we're a communication network, and we're not sort of sensor or Earth observation network, and we don't necessarily control ballistic missiles necessarily. So I have no quibbles with a good story. I'm sure I could pick holes into the technology.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for indulging me. So I want to thank the Mobile Satellite Users Association for hosting these sessions. You can learn more about the MSUA at msua.org. You can learn how to get our weekly newsletter that gives you updates on everything that's happening in the industry and shares information about upcoming events. And you can also find out how to become a member. We look forward to seeing you next time on MSUA's Game Changer webcast. And Greg, thank you for making the time today.
Absolutely. Thanks very much.